Chad's impossible promise. Thomas breaks down, and the custody war ends, or does it? Days of Our Lives Deep Dive. Hey there, Days fans. Welcome back to the channel. We need to talk about next week. We need to talk about the fallout of this custody battle between Chad, Jennifer, and Jack. You see the headlines, you see the spoilers saying an agreement is reached, and you might think, oh, great. Problem solved. Happy ending, right? Wrong. Absolute dead wrong. I've been watching Days of Our Lives long enough to know that when the ink dries on a legal agreement in Salem, that is usually when the real chaos begins. And guys, looking at the spoilers for next week involving Jennifer Horton, Chad DiMera, and poor little Thomas, my heart is actually breaking. We are looking at a situation that is so much more than just legal paperwork. We are dealing with trauma. We are dealing with trust issues that go back decades, and we are dealing with a little boy who is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. So, let's stop skimming the surface. Let's dive deep into the psychology of this deal. Why I think Chad is setting himself up for failure, and the heartbreaking confession Thomas makes to Jeremy that is going to change everything. Let's get into it. Part 1. The interrogation Jennifer Horton's Mama Bear Mode. First up, let's talk about the matriarch herself, Jennifer Horton Devereaux. The spoilers tell us that next week, Jennifer is going to be questioning Chad. Now, on paper, that sounds polite, doesn't it? Questioning, but knowing Jennifer, and knowing what is at stake her daughter Abigail's children, this isn't going to be a polite chat over tea and donuts at the Horton Square. This is going to be an interrogation. And honestly, I am Team Jennifer on this one. Let's break down the psychology here. Jennifer has lost Abigail. That wound is never going to fully heal. Thomas and Charlotte are the last living pieces of Abigail she has left to protect. So when she looks at Chad, she doesn't just see the father of her grandkids. She sees a DiMera who is currently spiraling. She sees a man who has made questionable decisions, specifically regarding this Cat Greene situation. When the spoilers say Jennifer asks Chad what steps he is taking to convince Thomas he is trustworthy, this is a loaded question. It's not just about, hey, are you being a good dad? It's Jennifer asking, are you capable of putting my grandson's emotional stability above your own romantic impulses? I have a theory here. I think Jennifer sees a lot of Jack and Chad right now, the chaotic, unpredictable side of Jack from years ago. Remember when Jack would leave? Remember the instability? Jennifer spent years trying to shield Abigail from that. Now, she is watching history repeat itself with Thomas. She is terrified that Chad's instability is going to wreck Thomas the way Jack's instability used to hurt Abigail. So, when Chad is sitting there facing Jennifer, he needs to do more than just offer empty platitudes. He needs a concrete plan. But here is my concern, and I want you guys to tell me in the comments if you agree. Does Chad actually have a plan? Or is he just reacting to whoever is yelling at him the loudest? Because to me, Chad feels like a pinball right now, bouncing between his desire for Cat and his duty to his kids. Jennifer smells that fear. She smells that hesitation. And if Chad can't look her in the eye and give her a solid answer, this agreement they have reached is going to crumble faster than a sandcastle at high tide. Part 2. The Cat Greene factor, a promise made to be broken? Let's move on to the elephant in the room, Cat Greene. The spoilers reveal that despite this custody agreement being hammered out between Jack, Jean, and Chad, Thomas is still terrified. Why? Because he is convinced Chad is going to go running back to Cat. And Chad, bless his heart, makes a promise to stay away from her. Here is my hot take, and I know this might be controversial. Chad is lying. He might not know he is lying yet. He might genuinely believe in his heart that he can stay away from Cat for the sake of his son. But we know how soap operas work, and we know how Chad DiMera works. He is obsessive. When he feels a connection, he pursues it, usually to the detriment of everyone around him. Let's analyze Thomas's fear for a second. Why is this kid so fixated on Cat? It's easy to say, oh, he just misses his mom, but I think it is deeper than that. Children are incredibly intuitive. Thomas likely senses that Cat represents a fundamental shift in who his father is. It's a betrayal of the memory of Abigail, yes, but it's also a threat to the family unit. Chad's promise to stay away is weak. It is a band-aid on a bullet hole. And Jennifer knows it. That is why she is pressing him. She wants to know, how? How are you going to stay away? Is he blocking her number? Is he filing a restraining order? Is he moving town? No. He's just saying words. I predict that within 2 weeks, maybe less, we're going to see a moment where Chad is forced to interact with Cat. Maybe an emergency, maybe a chance encounter. And Thomas is going to see it. And when he does, that trust isn't just going to be damaged, it is going to be obliterated. I think the writers are setting us up for a scenario where Thomas catches Chad in a lie. And once a child realizes their parent is a liar, the dynamic shifts permanently. It turns from dad is my hero to dad is just a guy who disappoints me. That is a dark path for Days to take, but it feels like that is exactly where we are heading. Part 3. Thomas's heartbreaking confession, the psychology of guilt. Now, get your tissues ready, because this is the part of the spoilers that really got to me. We have Thomas DiMera confessing to Jeremy Horton. And what is the confession? He blames himself for all the adults fighting. Guys, this is textbook child trauma psychology, and it is devastating to watch. When parents or grandparents fight, especially in a high-stakes custody battle, children rarely understand the legal nuances. They don't understand visitation rights or custodial interference. What they understand is emotion. They see anger. They see tears. And because children are egocentric by nature, meaning they view the world as revolving around them, they assume they are the cause. Thomas is thinking, if I hadn't complained about Cat, Dad wouldn't be mad. Or if I wasn't sad, Grandma wouldn't be yelling at Dad. He is internalizing the toxicity of the adults around him. This is where I get frustrated with the adults in this storyline. While Jack and Jennifer and Chad are sitting around mediation tables and signing papers, who is checking on Thomas's soul? Who is making sure this kid doesn't grow up carrying the DiMera guilt complex? We have seen this before. Think about the childhood of someone like E.J. DiMera, or even Chad himself. Growing up in a war zone creates adults who don't know how to function in peace. Thomas is on a dangerous trajectory. If he believes he is the problem now, he will grow up trying to be a people pleaser, suppressing his own emotions just to keep the peace. Or, he will swing the other way and become resentful. I want to give huge props to the writers for including this beat with Jeremy Horton, though. Let's talk about Jeremy for a second. Part 4. Jeremy Horton, the unexpected savior? Who had Jeremy Horton becomes the voice of reason on their 2026 bingo card? Because I certainly didn't, but I am absolutely loving this development. Thomas chooses to confess to Jeremy. Why Jeremy? I think it's because Jeremy is a bit of an outsider to the immediate conflict. He isn't one of the parents, he isn't Chad, he isn't Jack, he isn't John. He's the cool older cousin figure. He represents a safe harbor where Thomas can drop the act. The spoilers say Jeremy is going to reassure Thomas and help him work through these emotions. This is a pivotal moment for Jeremy's character development. We are used to seeing Jeremy involved in business schemes or messy romances. Seeing him step up as a guardian figure is huge. My theory is that this interaction is going to change Jeremy's perspective on the whole situation. Hearing a little boy say, "It's my fault," is going to ignite a fire in Jeremy. I think we might see Jeremy go to Chad or go to Jack and say, "Hey, you guys need to stop. You think you're fighting for the kid, but you're actually destroying him." Jeremy could be the bridge here. He has the Horton blood, so Jean listens to him, but he's a guy, so he can speak man to man with Chad. I'm really hoping the show leans into this. We need Jeremy to be the reality check that these adults desperately need. If Jeremy can convince Thomas that he is not responsible for Chad's bad decisions, that is a massive win. But let's play devil's advocate for a second, Beckos. I love a good conspiracy theory. Is it possible Jeremy uses this info against Chad? If Jeremy is harboring any ill will, or if he has an agenda, knowing that Thomas is psychologically vulnerable could be a weapon. I don't think they are going that route. I think they are going for the heartwarming angle, but with Days, you never fully know. What do you guys think? Is Jeremy being genuine, or is this leverage? Part 5. The agreement, a ticking time bomb. Finally, let's circle back to this agreement that Jack, Jennifer, and Chad have reached. The spoilers say they are close to finalizing it, and we should stay tuned for the mediation results. Let's be real, a custody agreement in a soap opera is basically a declaration of future war. If they agree to shared custody, it just means more handovers, which means more opportunities for conflict. If Chad gets primary custody with conditions, he is going to break those conditions, probably involving Cat. If Jack and Jean get more time, Chad is going to feel undermined. I have a prediction about this agreement. I think there is going to be a clausia morality clause or something similar specifically regarding who can be around the children. Jennifer is going to insist on it. She will want it in writing that Cat Greene cannot be within 50 feet of Thomas and Charlotte. Chad will sign it because he is desperate to end the fighting and he thinks he can handle it. But this is the Chekhov's gun of the storyline. By signing that paper, Chad is handing Jennifer the weapon she will use to destroy him later. The moment very second Cat Greene is seen near those kids, Jennifer is going to take that piece of paper to a judge and strip Chad of his rights. And honestly, based on how Thomas is feeling, maybe she should. I also want to compare this to the historic custody battles we have seen in the past. Remember the absolute wars over Will Horton? Remember the Brady Black custody dramas? They always end with one parent making a catastrophic mistake. Chad is currently the one walking the tightrope. He is the one under the microscope. The pressure on him is immense. And let's not forget the DiMera side of Chad. When a DiMera feels cornered, they don't usually react with logic, they react with power plays. Right now, Chad is playing nice. He is agreeing to mediation. He is letting Jennifer grill him. But how long can he keep this up? How long before the Stefano inside him wakes up and says, "Nobody takes my children"? If Jennifer pushes too hard during this questioning next week, she might wake a sleeping dragon. And if Chad snaps, this agreement isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Conclusion: the storm is coming. So, to wrap this up, next week is going to be pivotal. It's not about the action scenes or the explosions, it's about the emotional warfare. We have Jennifer seeking absolute certainty in an uncertain world. We have Chad making promises he almost certainly cannot keep regarding Cat Greene. We have Jeremy Horton stepping up as the unsung hero of the week. And most tragically, we have Thomas DiMera believing that the sins of his father are his own fault. My advice to you guys watching next week? Watch the eyes. Watch the way Chad looks away when he promises to stay away from Cat. Watch the way Thomas looks at Jeremy. The dialogue is going to say we have an agreement, but the body language is going to scream disaster is coming. I want to hear from you now. I've given you my theories, I've psychoanalyzed the whole family tree, but I want your take. Do you trust Chad to stay away from Cat Greene? Or is he destined to fail? Is Jennifer being too hard on him? Or is she the only sane person left? And what about Jeremy? Do we like him in this mentor role? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them because you guys always have the best insights that I sometimes miss. Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive. Really helps the channel grow, and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss our breakdown of the next disaster that hit Salem. Until next time, keep your friends close and your soap opera villains closer. Catch you later, Days fans.